Welcome, everyone, and hello to all those tuning in. Happy Transgender Awareness Week. Today, I'm excited to be sitting down for a conversation that is more important than ever about the current reality for the transgender community. For community, conversations, driving trans health, policy, and allyship from the ground up. Produced by GLAAD and powered by Gilead Sciences. My name is Dominique Jackson, and you might know me from Pose as Bloody Mary and as that girl running around TikTok doing crazy dances, but enjoying life. I am joined today by two phenomenal, hardworking, determined women. By Regina Livingston, founder and CEO of Unspoken Treasure Society, an organization based in Jacksonville, Florida, providing resources for transgender individuals across the state. This amazing woman continues to do work that empowers and allows our community to know that there are safe spaces out there no matter what is occurring. And Elia Chino, the fabulous and boss lady founder and executive director of FLATS, a group in Houston focused on breaking down barriers to HIV care and treatment for the Latin community in Texas. Both are prolific advocates who have contributed huge strides for the transgender communities in their states. And I'm honored to be able to sit down for a conversation with both of them today. The world has spoken. First off, I must ask, how are you two doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for this invitation, and thank you for the opportunity to talking about this this topic about the transgender community, because we need to address it in needs, and we need to continue fighting for the transgender community across the world.
For me, I am in a good headspace now. The day of the election, things got really, really dark and really, really heavy. And so I think the reason for that is I realized we're here again. Me being a Black trans woman who have been through this before, and who, when I transitioned back in the late 90s, life was similar to what Trump is trying to take the American people back to. And so I've survived this before, and I know that it'll be okay. I feel in my heart and soul and spirit that it'll be okay. Because one thing about any trans woman, she knows how to survive. We are the most powerful people in America. So
the world has spoken a lot. The world, thank you both for your responses, and thank you for continuing to empower us. The world has spoken a lot about anti-trans bills and the violence that too many trans people face. But I would love the media and this country's leaders to talk about the resilience and beauty of trans people. You two both know of the importance of community for us and the importance of joy. So let's start there. What are some recent examples of trans joy? How do we celebrate it during Trans Awareness Week and beyond?
One of the things of trans joy, we at Unspoken Treasure Society, we have a program called the Purple Orchid Master Peer Specialist Training. And so we train trans women of color, both brown and Black, all over the world. They sign up to be a part of the course. We have up to 12 students. And so each graduation is a huge time of joy, because some of these women may not have graduated or just never got the experience of being a graduate of something. And so it's always a really emotional time, but it brings so much joy and spirit in the building. And I normally leave in tears, almost like I've left a funeral, because knowing that we brought that type of happiness to our community is just overwhelming. So I think that is one of the times that we really bring joy. And one of the biggest things we try to do is always uplift. We always try to uplift and just be there for one another. And that's the best thing we can do, especially right now with the climate, is just be each other's joy, creating spaces for us by us.
This is not something new that I've been doing early in the 90s when I stepped out, when the peak of HIV was very high. That's when I say I need to do something for my community. And in the meantime, on those years, people was dying in friend houses and apartments and in the hospital with nobody less with the family, you know. And I remember those years, it was the more difficult tough. Well, it's been always the most difficult journey of my life to working on this field where the stigma on top of the to be a transgender, to be a member of the LGBT community is we are just the taboo and the stigma. We are marginalized and punishment that HIV was only for gay community and not for other people, you know. Um, Unfortunately, I've been very blessed to be able to establish in open roads, open doors, for we can be able not only to save lives, but also to empower the lives of the transgender community. I'm very proud through my leadership on a national level. I've been able to open minds and also to encourage other trans Latinas to do the same work that I've been doing for so many years, to advocacy for their own communities in other cities and in other states. And I really feel like we have a lot of work to do and that we must work together and fight together for our rights.
And so, and I thank you for all of the work that you're doing. So, in the midst of all that work that you're doing, where do you find joy?
My joy is just to be able to help in those in need. That is what's made me my joy, and to be to thinking that I'm here for a purpose, and I will use wherever it is on my ability, wherever it is in my head, wherever I have in my heart to continue doing this amazing work. Despite that I really was dying in 2017, I wasn't sad because I want to die. I was sad because I want to let my community with no services, with love and compassion and with empathy.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Can you both share a little about your organizations and the work you do in transgender communities in Florida and in Texas, respectively?
So in Florida, of course, you know, we're under the guise of Governor DeSatan. And so we provide resources when we're financially able. We have been a resource for temporary housing. We've been able to be a resource for helping to get bus passes, helping to get transportation for job searches. We have computers that we let individuals come in and do job searches. We do what I was mentioning before, we have the Master Fish Specialist Training Course that we train non-binary, transgender women of color for the most part. However, we do not discriminate. So sometimes we do have someone who's non-binary or transmasculine that wants to be involved. And I think one of the things that we're going to add to that is have a transmasculine course because I have, I've been getting an uptick in the transmasculine community asking about it. So we provide that. We provide support groups as well as we provide NA groups. We have NA groups that are here once a week that individuals come to. And I am actually based in Gainesville, Florida, and I have my drop-in center as well as Gainesville here in Jacksonville, Florida as well. I used to live in Jacksonville, so I have a lot of family here, a lot of chosen family. And so it was just in my heart when someone asked me to come here, I knew that that was for a reason. And so I knew that I needed to come here and make this happen here as well. So I'm not only in Jacksonville, I'm based in Gainesville, but we have a drop-in center here. And so what we do is we assess whatever's going on in each community and we assist in whatever way we can. And I network, I go to conferences, I travel, because I want to make sure that when someone comes to me, if I can't do what they need, I can send them to someone else who can help. So I make sure I'm very outspoken, I'm very outgoing. So I travel, I meet people, and so that's how I keep people with resources by being able to transfer them to another org or another group if I can't make it happen. So that's why I was telling Miss Elia, how to pronounce your name, Miss Elia?
Elia.
Okay, gotcha. Miss Elia, I was telling her we got to transfer, information. And
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we have the same thing like in Texas, okay? We have the same issues, with the governor, Abbott is the worst person and as that is doing some bad things for the transgender community, not only for transgenders, but the kids that are transgender. They want to take away the mental health services, the hormones treatment, a lot of violence in the schools, for against the trans kids. But besides that, it's been very tough that they've been putting another laws that are affecting the trans community. Well, what we do in FLAS, okay, through FLAS for the transgender community in Houston, we provide counsel and HIV testing and linkage to care for people living with HIV. Also, we provide mental health and substance use disorders for this population. I've been having the opportunity also to receive support from Gilead to empower Latino transgenders to be more efficiency, to helping out to speak, to advocacy, to be in the front of TV and have the leadership. But also we provided the community health workers trainings. We've been providing a lot of information about immigration issues. We've been providing transportation. We provide also the letters and working together with other clinics for they can continue receiving the hormone treatment. We provide affordable health care. We're helping out to navigate the health system with the clinics because our trans community, they mistreated across all the settings. And we try to open doors, not only to helping out with the hormone and mental health services, but also to look for other social services, working with the Latin counselings for they can have the matriculas, the passports. We try to help them out with to be leaders and also to go to a conference to educating for they can be able to help now other transgender immigrants that come into this country. um, providing clothing. I had the opportunity to providing um, resources whenever they need for housing, resources for whenever they need for food. Uh, it's just FLAS is just an organization that are there to embrace them, to treating with respect and dignity. As a transgender woman, I really helping a lot of the transgender community because it's no safe spaces, for them. And they feel very safe at FLAS, but also they feel like FLAS is their home.
That was something I kind of left out of my, when I was going over what all we do. We do HIV testing as well, HIV prevention services, as well as rapid linkage referrals. And we also, we do sexual health education, because that's really, really important for our up and coming individuals in our community, our up and coming trans people, our up and coming entertainers. Everyone needs to be educated because a lot of times you just don't know. So we try to make sure in all spaces that we're in, we're educating.
And also when somebody is in need, we do fundraisers for them. If somebody is sick, we do that show where we can raise money for that person. Also, we helping out with so many things that they need,
Thank you. And that is so important. So, Regina, you founded Unspoken Treasure Society after recognizing a lack of support and resources to overcome barriers for transgender and gender nonconforming people, particularly TG and C people of color. What common misconceptions or overlooked issues do people miss when talking about barriers still impacting transgender individuals?
Many of the conversations about transgender issues are overly generalized, and they are assumed a one-size-fits-all type of experience. And that's not true. All transgender people go through different battles, different fights. And so you have to let a trans individual talk for themselves. That's something that I'm very big at. Don't speak for me. Don't, like sometimes, not to be offensive to anyone, but sometimes cis gay males like to tell our stories. And you can walk a mile in our shoes. So when it's time to talk about the issues that we have, the struggles that we have, it's important that we are in those seats saying our own stories because they're not the same. We all come from different backgrounds. We all were raised differently. And so there's different struggles and traumas in each of our lives. But it's important to tell those stories. And it's also important to know when you're telling those stories, don't do it for free.
You're absolutely correct about that. I must say. And the diversity in us. So at times I feel like people feel like we're just this one thing that you put into a box, and this is what it is for all of us. And thank you for sharing that. It's so important for people to understand the diversity, the uniqueness, the difference that even exists within the transgender community. And Elia, your organization is focused solely on Latin transgender individuals. Why do so, Elia, can you tell me the correct pronunciation? Because it's spelled Latine, and I'd like you to pronounce that for me so I say it correctly.
You're talking about my name?
No, the focus is on Latin. Like a lot of times we use words like Latin or Hispanic, and I know there are differences. So when you refer to
I saw, the perfect word is Latino community, that's the correct name.
Thank you. Thank you for
Latino. Because I see people that put Latines, Latine. I also get confused, but the correct word is Latino community.
Okay. So, I mean, as we go through this question, I'd like you to also Right. So your organization is focused solely on Latino transgender individuals. Why do you think it is so important to focus on addressing health outcomes for specific transgender demographics, like the Latino, Latinx, Latina community?
Well, it's a topic that is really very broad, because especially in Houston, we have a lot of languages, a lot of cultures that come in. We have like about 70 languages that they speak in Houston. And every culture is totally different, and we have to understand each of all these populations. It's very important that we have the people to have the empathy and to understand the problems that the Latino transgender are facing. And as you mentioned, okay, the traumatization, the trauma that we've been living forever. Uh, we just must to be how I can say, oh my God, it's so difficult to explain
No, please
this.
take your time. Please take your time.
But one of the lacks, okay, access for services, okay, the trans community, they have the trauma, since they discovered that they was different. They escape from their countries to have a better quality of life, to at least to live free, to have the liberty of expression. But sometimes they think that we come in here and we are going to find them better uh, opportunities. No, we encounter more difficult situations. For example, the social determinants of health due to lack of education, lack to documentation, lack of healthcare services, lack of housing. Housing is one of the big problems that the transgender community we are struggling facing each day. Bring food to our tables, you know, and the acceptation from the society, the family. I just remember when I was in transition. For me, the most important is that my mom and my father to accept me. I don't care about the society. I don't care the community. And unfortunately, I coming from a Christian family. It was so tough for me that my parents they say no, this cannot happen in my family. And
I can relate.
they don't talk to me for years. And all this year was a pain in my heart, suffering for I don't be accepted at least by my parents. And this is the trauma that all the transgender community we are struggle. We just want to live. If you don't accept us, at least give me alone. You know, you don't give me anything. Please don't bother me. Let me live my life in peace.
I hear you. I hear you.
Mhm.
Um, and what are some of the health issues that the Latino community faces right now?
The struggle, as I mentioned before, okay, the social determinants of health, okay, HIV, high blood pressure, cholesterol, a lot of problems with the liver, the kidneys, because we've been using from the blood market hormones. I was one of the people that are affected. I was dying in 2017 from cancer. And I think because I use from the blood market hormones that I developed cancer. And
Wow.
not only that, diabetes. mental health problems, substance use disorders, all these kind of problems we are facing in the Latino community.
And so yes, wow. Both of you run smaller grassroots groups focused on addressing barriers for transgender individuals. What advantages do community-driven groups like FLAS and Unspoken Treasure Society bring to the fight against stigma and discrimination that larger organizations might have a harder time achieving?
For Unspoken Treasure, we reach spaces intentionally. And the reason a lot of the bigger organizations not be able to reach those people in community is because they're not willing to go outside at 2:00 in the morning and pass out condoms on the stroll where trans women work. They're not outside at night at 11 o'clock doing outreach when drunk people are coming out of the club and we're passing them condoms and passing them, and you have to be intentional about the work you do. You have to be, it has to be something that is pure from the heart, because that's the only reason or the only way you're going to go over and beyond for community. And so that's one of the things that we do. We're there. I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten calls about a trans woman that was beat up or something like that I need to go and check her in a hotel room. I've had to pull over 2:00 in the morning and get a trans woman and get her off the streets and check into a hotel room because I'm afraid she's going to get ran over or something. So it's just being in places and spaces where you wouldn't normally find anyone trying to help people, trying to educate people, or trying to be there for people. So that's the biggest thing that happens, that we can reach the actual people. The bigger organizations are not going to do that. And you would think that those facts would make the funders look a little bit closer at those smaller organizations, because we don't close our doors. See, we couldn't close our doors during COVID. We still had to be there for our people. They were depressed. They were suicidal. See, we couldn't stop answering our phones. We had to be there. So that's the biggest power that we have over any huge $1 million organization. We're doing the work for real. And there's not time for us to say, oh, well, it's a little blizzard outside. We got to stay home today. We can't do that. We have to be on the front lines. So that's what we have over bigger organizations. We're on the front lines when you're in the bed sleeping.
Elia?
I have to be real. I have to be real about
it. Besides that, we have to have the staff that understand the progress of the transgender community. I've been able to educate and to provide trauma and health care from my frontline staff through the accounting department, And we don't receive our clients, just for another number. We receive our clients in the reception with a hug, okay? And asking, do you want something to drink, a Coke, Sprite, or water? But also my staff is very, very dedicated to go up there in nightclubs in the middle of the night, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning, to do counseling and HIV testing, but I also provide condoms wherever they need. We had the opportunity to incorporate and also to hiring and looking for more funding to giving jobs to the transgender community. Sometimes the big, amazing organizations that have beautiful buildings, they have amazing offices all over, but you know what? They don't do nothing for the transgender community. They don't care. They just care for money there, for a paycheck. And that's my Bible. every day with my staff that we has to treat especially the transgender community with love and compassion because it's the most marginalized communities in the world. And as an executive director, I want to be sure that everybody is treated with dignity and respect and provide services with empathy, because it's so important.
Thank you
And
so much.
we do this work that is not easy with with the leftovers, with overlap, with the little money.
I can attest to that. You are absolutely right. I worked with Destination Tomorrow as they were a growing organization. I'm still a part of them. And I can tell you, I know what it's like to be and have to work from heart, not about paycheck, but about heart and about knowing that that person that you took off the street that night is a life that you saved. So I commend.
And also to be flexible,
Yes.
If somebody call me at any time, I'm there for them. The counselors, I say, you know what, if people call you and they need help, okay, talk to Elise with them.
I commend you both. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Regina, former President Donald Trump was recently elected for a second term after running a campaign filled with anti-trans rhetoric. Both of you are community leaders in states where anti-trans stigma, rhetoric, and policy have been so harmful. But I know it has been particularly grim in Florida. Regina, what are you gearing up for over the next 4 years?
I'm gearing up to protect my people. I'm gearing up to, we are trying to find the most economical ways to get people out of here if we need to. We have a trust that is called the Floridians Community Trust that we are going to help individuals that have emergency needs that come up. And we are just basically trying to come up with resources as we find out specifically and exactly what's going to be going on. I work closely with Southern Legal, with Simone Chris, which has been doing a lot of the fighting in Florida for our rights. And I work closely with her. So she keeps me abreast with what's going on, the laws, different things that they're expecting to come down. She keeps us posted with everything. So what we do is as we're learning how we need to navigate, I think being educated on what's going on and knowing the facts, because you're going to hear so many people saying so many different things that's going to be going on, but we need the facts. So that's why I'm dealing directly with her, knowing she's on the front line in those courtrooms, and she's able to get in rooms that warn her, of what's going on, what's coming down. And so I get all the information I can from her so that I can educate the community. And then we try to put things in place for us to support one another through each thing that comes down.
Regina, if I may ask, can you tell me about some of the phone calls that you may have received from members of the transgender community since this election?
I've received phone calls from my younger trans community. I have like a little group of youth that I have group meetings with, that I go out and eat with, and we talk about a lot of stuff because we're getting ready to start this little youth empowerment group. And there was just a lot of worries. It was a lot of tears. It was a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of, not knowing. And I think that's the biggest burden that falls on us when you don't know what's going to happen. And you have so many people saying this is going to happen, that is going to happen, this is going to happen, and you don't know the specifics. So that's why I try to stay educated so I can say factual things. I don't want to just be assuming stuff and half the time the news don't even know what's going on. They just are just reaching for straws. Oh, all the transgender people need to grab their things and run for cover. But we've been here for a long time while evil has been going on in the world against our community. And I feel like if we are prepared, we can overcome anything that's against us, like we always have.
Thank you, Regina. Elia, how can the broader LGBTQ community help? Let's zoom out, Elia. In your experience, what are the most pressing social issues that impact the transgender community's ability to thrive? What resources do you think are most important in addressing them?
The most important now, especially for those that they don't have the right documentation, is to have a lawyer and starting their process, to be to have their documentation to be legalized in this country, because they feeling that they don't that they don't want to be able to accomplish their dreams to have the right documentation. But despite of this, it's about housing, accessible to housing. That's the major problems that are the community across across the LGBT community. Everybody are suffering right now. But also they've been talking about everything, the inflection, is been one of the major problems that are facing because they don't have sometimes enough money to pay the rent, to pay the food. Um, I've been, I've been, I sent it a letter, and put it in social media that they need to be calm, that we cannot say, oh, to continue with the normal life, because we've been overcoming a lot of issues, a lot of social issues all our life. And we must to continue to be positive and work very closely with the elected officials in the city of Houston, because the city of Houston is so large and it's so big, and that we have it over 2 million Latinos that live in that city, and that we has to be united and helping each other in any problems that we are facing, especially right now. That we need to be united, and all the other grassroots organizations, we need to be together, and that they are not alone. That we are here to advocacy for them and to defending them, and that we are not going to stop if it is possible. We are not going to tolerate any violence against the trans community and the LGBT community.
Thank you, Elia. Thank you both. Regina, for individuals who want to support the transgender community, especially over the next 4 years, but might not know where to begin, what forms of allyship have you found to be most meaningful and impactful in your work?
The most impactful allyship would be education and self-awareness. Make yourself known and make yourself available, but just do it in a respectful way, that you're not invading spaces, because especially times like right now, those spaces are very precious, and we have to make sure we respect those spaces. I feel like our allies should make sure they're amplifying trans voices, because we need to be heard, because a lot of times people may have never met a trans person or have never had any type of experience. And trans people that just don't know they're trans a lot of times. So it's just like amplify trans voices, so because once you amplify their voice, that humanizes them. That lets you know there are people. That lets you know they go through some of the same things that you go through. So it's important to amplify those voices. It's important to respect identities. I have a lot of parents because I'm a patient advocate at a youth gender clinic. And I have a lot of parents that love, adore, and support their children. However, they call them by the wrong pronouns. And I make sure I educate them on the fact that that's assault every time you do that. So if you really, really support and love your child, also call them by the right pronouns. When you identify them, if you're supporting this and you're affirming this, affirm all the way through and through, because that helps them not to be down on themselves and it helps them to really live 100% in their truth. And just be there. Just be there. Find out what we need instead of like a lot of funders. I've been one of those boastful, outspoken people sometimes that I tell funders, that's not what we need this for. You know, a lot of times funders will tell you, and if there's anything else, if y'all need to change up this and that with the funding, well, let's talk about that now. Because a lot of grants are the sketches of them are for certain things, but nothing on some of those things are what's needed within our community. So it's important to let them know, hey, this is what we need. So can we do this? Now I do some of this, but we really need this. So come on, let's work together here.
And
So
I can absolutely relate because working as director of programs for a few months for Destination Tomorrow led me to see that kind of dynamic, and it's wonderful when you are able to express that and allow these grants to change the grants. And when you're really an ally, you are going to fix the grants so that it serves the purpose of those in the community that need to access them. Exactly. You know, then are you giving the grant for yourself to check a box, or are you giving the grant because you really want to help? And exactly. I really agree with you on that. And to both of you, you've both been working with Gilead for the past few years through Transcend and PACE programs. How has their funding helped your organizations? How should other corporations support the trans community?
I'll let you go first, Elia.
Well, through the Gilead support for the transgender community with the Transcend, we was able to hire in a transgender woman that she was empowered and have a group with the transgender community to address and empower them to be efficiency into teaching them and educating them how to advocacy for them and for the other community. Also providing life skills, you know, how to do their makeup, how to be better, how to helping out their friends, you know, how to advocacy not only for the trans community, but also to advocacy for the entire community, to teaching them how to go and interview, how to dressing up, how also to educating about HIV, STDs, linkage people that was needing services to the other clinics, providing transportation, and also to promote that we are visible in the community, and that we are human beings and that we has to be treated with dignity and respect. That's one of the reasons that Transcend has been able to accomplish through these 3 years of funding, and that I hope that we can continue empower the Latino transgender to continue to have the success of life, you know.
So for me, Gilead was a lifesaver. The PACE grant was by far the largest grant that we ever received. They haven't asked me to take 30,000 different courses and do 60 reports. And, you know, they haven't been calling my phone every 5 minutes. You need to be in this capacity building course. You need to be in this. You need to be in that. I have been treated like I trust you to do the things that you said you were going to do. And being a Black trans woman, that's everything. That's everything. To find someone who trusts in you, and all the work that we do at Unspoken is visible. It's on our website. I make sure, because I know when it comes to the most marginalized, which is trans women and men of color, we have to show that we've done this stuff. You can't just say, oh, we had an amazing event, and they just say, oh, okay. If they don't see it, they're not buying it. So I make sure that we're visible. I make sure our events are recorded. I make sure there's videos. I make sure there's pictures, because I want you to see what we're doing with your money. So just like Saturday is our Master Peer Specialist graduation, they're going to see, you know, what they did. I even have my Gilead rep that's coming out to speak about sexual health for my graduates. And so I think the most important thing is being visible, and the relationship that I have with PACE, we're just like, I feel like that's kind of my family. We the past a couple of weeks, a week ago, because I was on vacation last week, but the week before that, we went to Arizona and met with Ribbon of the PACE, I'm not even going to mess the whole name of it up, but we had an event, all the PACE grantees, and it was a bunch of women of color in a room, not being shady to one another, not being catty to one another. It was one of the most beautiful settings that I've ever been in with women. No one was afraid. All the women were confident, and we sat and we talked and we learned and we role played and we learned each other's stories. And that was one of the most beautiful times I've ever had. So I have learned so much through being a part of the PACE grant. And yeah, it's been very, very empowering in my life.
Thank you so much to the both of you.
But I want to mention, Anya wants to mention a little thing about the grants, you know. Sometimes when you receive the grants, okay, you know, all the grants are particularly for some things, you know. And sometimes they ask you, okay, I need help in this, help in that, and that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And sometimes you cannot use the money for other things. We have the most difficult work, you know. You know, but we have to work very transparent, you know, with all the grants, you know.
Yes. So, but to both of you, there are too many transgender youth uncertain about the future. What is your message to trans youth today? How can we learn from our past to create a better future?
For me, I just simply try to guide them the best that I can. And I explain to them that I'm not talking to you as, because some of our younger generation feel like you're talking down to them or you're trying to tell them what to do. And I make sure that they know that first. You have to make the space safe first and make them feel comfortable. But I let them know I'm talking from lived experience. I'm expressing things to you that I've went through that I don't want you to go through. I don't want you to walk down those bumpy roads and bump your head as many times as I bump mine. So just please, just take it in consideration what I'm saying to you. And we also make them feel like individuals. We don't want them to feel like children or, you know, I try to make them feel like we're here instead of I'm up here and you're down here. Because it's important to make them feel seen and valued. So I just try my best to uplift, empower, and make sure that they feel seen and make sure they feel valued.
For me, I encourage the parents to accept them and to give in love their children. And also, I encourage them that I don't want that they suffering whatever I was suffering, to educating them, because that only way that they're going to be respected, and that they will have a better future, like the ones we don't have, like I don't have. That they will have more opportunities if they go to the university and graduate to be a lawyers, to be a doctors, to be engineers, to be with high level education. That's the only way that they're going to be defending themselves and defending their community, and that they need to be proud who they are. But also, I provide support to the families that they ask for help. Oh, I have my son or my daughter, with inclinations uh, to be LGBT community. And I said, you know what? You need to be the best friend of your son or daughter, because nobody else is going to do nothing for them. They want to put it on the street. They want to try to affect them and provide other things that they are not good for them.
Well, thank you both for sharing with us today. Thank you for all of the work that you do and you continue to do. Thank you for the sacrifice. Thank you for giving of yourselves to empower, to enhance the lives of our community. And so I have just this one quick question, and it's only a one-word answer, and you don't have time to think about it. So I think I'll try to get like 3 questions in, right? One word that your heart feels right now.
So blessed.
Joy.
Okay.
Happy.
Spirit animal.
Lion.
Cat.
Butterfly. Okay. One thing you would say to your younger self.
Take your time. Don't rush. Be patient. Everything will come when it's time.
I'm missing all that opportunities. Why I don't start when I was younger, this.
And one thing you would like to prepare your older self for.
Retirement. I'm working on that now.
To live on peace and continue fighting for our rights.
Well, I thank you both so very much. I send you continuous joy, love, and support. Thank you for all the work that you do once again. Thank you for the dedication. Thank you for using your lives to be able to empower and change the lives of others. And thank you to Gilead for the work that they do. And also thank you to GLAAD for all that they do.
No, thank you for including us in these important conversations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, GLAAD, for bringing so much joy into my heart. Today has been a beautiful day because I'm on this live with one of my favorite people.
Oh.
It's already a beautiful day.
Now I've met Elia. So now I'm on live with 2 of my favorite people. Elia, we're going to have to connect, most definitely.
Yes.
Thank you all so very much.